Have you considered moving to Boulder, Colorado? I'm going to tell you 9 reasons why maybe you shouldn't. When you hear Colorado, Rocky Mountain High, you might be thinking of something else, but I'm thinking about the cost of living because it's really high. Livingcost.org ranks Boulder in the top 5% of most expensive places to live in the US. This considers things like costs of rent, the median home price, which is just shy of $1 million, groceries, dining out, and Boulder was also ranked 11th in US metro cities that were the most expensive areas to raise a child in. So you'd have to make decent money to live here, right? Well, number 2, limited job market. Some of Boulder's top industries include aerospace, bioscience, IT, and clean energy. So if you're in these fields and you're making that dough, Boulder might be a great place for you. However, if you're not in one of these industries, you may have a harder time finding a job in Boulder, or at least one that pays you well enough that you can afford the high cost of living. So you might commute to a job somewhere else, but number 3, traffic congestion. Boulder's growing population and still limited infrastructure leads to traffic congestion, especially during high times like rush hour. If you're used to big city traffic, Boulder's traffic might not be much for you. However, if you're looking to move to Boulder to get away from some of the city congestion, on the same page as traffic congestion, parking is also sometimes an issue in Boulder. So if you're going downtown, you're most likely going to have to pay to park on the street or in a garage, similar to any city. However, if you live in a neighborhood, you may also need to pay for a parking permit to park in your own neighborhood. So if you're looking to get away from some things that cities have, like paying for parking, congestion, Boulder might not give you that escape. Number 4, harsh winters. With Boulder being over a mile above sea level, winters can last anywhere from about November through March, with temperatures below freezing and an average snow accumulation of 88 inches per year. So if you want to bundle up in your Patagonia, yeah, you're gonna need a Patagonia. That's like a non-negotiable for being a Boulder resident. Then it might be the place for you. But if you prefer looking at those green, lush flat irons and don't want to see them covered in snow, then might want to take Boulder off your list. Speaking of being over a mile above sea level, actually it's 5,430 feet above sea level to be exact. Wow. Let's talk about altitude sickness. While for you moving to Boulder, it might be a short-lived thing where maybe you experience some headaches, nausea, tiredness from adjusting to the high altitude, it's something that you might want to consider for if you have any out-of-town visitors once you've settled down here. Because your out-of-town visitors are gonna get out of breath easier, and don't let them drink like they do at home, because a couple drinks at altitude is gonna hit you harder. Ask anybody who's been to Red Rocks. Number 6, crowded trails. If you're taking those out-of-town guests out for a hike, it might not be the escape from the city that you were hoping it was gonna be. That hike might not be the isolating experience that you were hoping for, and you're probably gonna be bumping elbows and doing the little nod and wave the entire time because those trails get very crowded, especially during peak seasons. If you want a nice quiet hike where you are away from people, you may have to go a little bit further out from the Front Range where it's less populated because, again, those trails might be pretty busy. With all that focus on healthy, active lifestyles, number 7, limited nightlife. People want to get up bright and early in Boulder to go on their hikes, walk their dogs, and live their active lifestyles. And as a result of that, sometimes bars and restaurants close relatively early compared to other cities. We're talking midnight, maybe 1 a.m., and take it from me as somebody who used to work overnight shifts in Boulder, if you're looking for that 2, 3 a.m. snack, you're probably not gonna find it. And And with that being said, some of the restaurants and bars adjust their hours seasonally, depending on whether the college students are in town. And because the nightlife is pretty limited, most places that you go out, you're probably gonna be going out with the college student. Number 8, limited public transportation. While Boulder does have a bus system, the RTD, it's not exactly as robust as other cities' transportation. Boulder has their bus system. They do not have a light rail like some other cities do, and some complaints around the public transportation system include that they lack frequency, that the hours change depending on the season, as well as limited late night public transportation access. While there's talks of expanding the public transportation in the Boulder area, it doesn't seem like anything's coming as of right now. Number 9, and my last and final point, fires and flooding. If you live in Boulder, you can pretty much bet on it every single year. There's going to be some type of fire, and you're going to have to know how to react to the situation. And not to mention, on top of that, we've had some pretty serious flooding in Boulder County in the last decade, and flooding is something that you might also have to worry about. So you'll pretty much have to have a plan if you live in Boulder for fires or snow and ice and flooding and winds. Maybe like a lot of other places in the country, but something to consider. With all that being said, I mean, Boulder's a beautiful area. If you've seen one photo of Boulder, you already know that. And it's a pretty cool place. I mean, I've lived here my whole life. So let me know, what do you think? Would you still move to Boulder? Let me know in the comments.